So back in November 2024, there was this small movie that came out. It was called Small Things Like These. It starred Cillian Murphy, which a year before had starred in one of the biggest films in recent years, of course, Oppenheimer. But this movie was one of the best of 2024. And as a movie, it's great, you know? But much like music, movies can sometimes be tied to memories, to events that happened around that might have influenced your movie experience at the time, or vice versa. And I have realized that one of the most beautiful things happened while watching Small Things Like These. It's something that I'll probably remember forever. But before we get to that, first, I'm probably going to spoil the hell out of the movie, so I'm going to give you that warning now. So you can stop watching if you like, or go watch the movie, it's fantastic, and then come back and watch this video. And second, a little context, a little background for you, although, you might have already watched the film. So Small Things Like These is based on a historical fiction book about one family/guy's experience living in Ireland in the 1980s when the Magdalene laundries were a thing. Now, these laundries were run by the Catholic Church, and they were founded a couple of centuries before. Now, these laundries were run by nuns from the Catholic Church to rehabilitate quote-unquote fallen women. These were women who, were prostitutes, who were the R word. I'm not gonna say it because of YouTube monetization. Women who had affairs, orphans, homeless women, deserted women, women who were abandoned by their families for not conforming to social norms, whatever that may be at the time. And according to history, there was a lot of physical abuse and mental trauma going on in these laundries, not to mention the essentially slave labor that was happening. Of course, laundry wasn't the only thing they were doing. So Cillian Murphy plays the head of this family, and he's dealing with some personal demons himself. Murphy plays a very reserved man who you can tell is having a crisis of faith. And that's one of the things that I really liked about the film, because I can certainly relate to that. And, one of the main reasons for that crisis of faith is that this town has a Magdalene laundry in operation. Now, he owns this business or something, and he has to deliver coal to all these different places. I think it's coal mining. I think that's his business. And the laundry, of course, is one place that he has to deliver coal to. And throughout the movie, he runs into this one girl at the institution, and you can tell he's perturbed by what's going on in the laundry and what this girl is experiencing. Now, the movie never tells you that's what's specifically going on, but you can only imagine, because this girl that he runs to, I think at some point is pregnant, and you can tell that she's in misery. Now, everyone in this town knows or can assume what's going on in the laundries, but no one does anything or wants to, because going against it would be going against social norms, and not to mention it's Ireland and the laundry is run by the Catholic Church. So now that I set up all of that, let me give you some context on what happened that night. So I normally watch movies with my girlfriend, in the theaters, that is. And at home too. But we love to go to theaters. And I've been with her for about 5 years or so. We're coming up. And as you get into arguments with your significant other, and this happened particularly before we were watching this movie. We were in the car, and then on the way there, or I think prior to, I don't know what happened, but we were arguing. Okay, we were in a bad mood. It kind of spoiled our attitudes. Going into this movie, and there's nothing more awkward than being with someone who you've had an argument with, and you have to sit down and watch a movie, at a theater. That is so incredibly awkward. It's the worst situation ever. And I think this was the first time where it really, it was kind of a nasty argument, and it was right before a movie, and we had to sit through the whole movie this way. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, the whole movie, we were angry. I mean, we were irritated at each other. And she's usually a person that is sometimes I definitely, reach out, and I'm like, okay, look, I'm sorry or whatever, but I think she definitely does that the most. She will take the first step to be like, I'm sorry, what can I do or whatever. She's usually the person that does that, which is why she's so special, and one of the reasons why she's so special, that is. But that particular, this is how I know she was really irritated, because, she didn't do that this time. We just kind of like sucked it up and we watched the movie while we were irritated. And I could tell she was angry. I mean, I can't recall necessarily what even the argument was, so I guess that's how you know that it was pointless or stupid. But we were just sitting next to each other, pissed as hell, watching this movie. Now, the thing about movies, the beauty about movies is that you sit there, and whatever goes on in your life, like, you're aware, what's going on, right, in your real life. But when you sit down and watch that movie, if it's a really good movie, most of the time, right, you completely forget, about your problems. Like, you do put them aside. It's like it is like the perfect place, to emulate what people want you to do. Like when you go to work or something, they're like, put your problems, at the door, when you go to work. Sometimes you don't do that at work, right? You do that at the movie theater. That's where you do that, right? It's much easier to do that there. And so thankfully I was enjoying the movie, right? I know I was irritated, but interestingly enough is that as the movie was going on, now granted, I do think that the majority of the movie I was pissed at her and she was pissed at me, but something was happening, right? As the movie was going on, is slowly but surely, I started to kind of just be like, after this, like, I want to make up with her, like it's got to happen. Now, at the same time, I'm not going to lie to you, I'll be honest. And she knows this. From the beginning of the movie, maybe around halfway even, I was so mad. This was a very, very mad situation for me, that I was like contemplating, like being like, you can walk home after this. I'm going to go, I'm done. Like, I'm truly done. Like, it was that bad. I don't remember what it was, what we argued about, but I remembered how I felt, right? Which I guess is important. But I felt those two things, I was feeling, okay, I want to make up with her. And I also felt, my God, I'm so goddamn irritated that she could just go walk home, and I will, and I'm going to drive myself home, it was my car. But like, like it's crazy. I mean, that's a really shitty thing to think about, really, honestly. But that's what I thought. But, as the movie was going on, and especially once the climax of the movie hits, which the climax of the movie is, this guy runs into this girl that's pregnant a few times in the movie, and it's not until the very end of the movie, the climax of the movie, this third act of the movie, this is the event, right, where he finds this girl again, and she's sort of trying to isolate herself from the institution. It's this sort of little warehouse area that she's at, and that's where he drops the coal. And she's there, and Cillian Murphy, throughout this entire movie, there's very little emoting. Like, you could tell he's very irritated. You can tell he's conflated. Like he's just distraught. Like, just, you could tell all of that. But like, he doesn't emote a lot. He's just a very stereotypical old timey husband that, like, where the wife is like, what's going on? And he's like, I'm okay. It's like that. Like, it's just very serious. But you could tell that he's in a lot of pain, Cillian Murphy just kills this role. Just absolutely. And I think it's so brilliant that he, a year after, literally a year later after Oppenheimer, doing such a big role, such a big movie, he goes and does a movie like this, where like no one saw, like, really. And just, he was incredible. And that's how you know that he truly loves acting. And I just love the contradiction. And it was in November too, which is crazy. Same year as Oppenheimer. But anyways, he makes the decision because he's been so just frustrated and conflicted with, like, I don't like what's going on here. I don't like this. I hate to see this girl suffer. I know she's suffering. I know what's going on in those laundries. I don't want any part of that. He also goes to church because of his family and stuff like that. And his fucking wife tells him, like, look, dude, we know what's going on, basically. We got to keep it on the down low. I think, like, a family member of his or a friend of his tells him, like, look, we all kind of know what's going on, but we all have to, like, keep our mouths shut because, you know, we know what can happen to us, which is just disgusting, right? Some of the most disgusting things ever, right, happen in such environments where you think it wouldn't happen, right? So, but finally, in the very third act of the movie, he's looking at this poor teenage girl, and he's just like, I can't do this anymore, right? I mean, you could just see it in his face, and he takes her back home. He saves her essentially from this laundry, and he comes in to his house, and we always see him do the same routine. He works at this very, you know, like coal mining or whatever, and so his hands are always dirty, awful. I mean, it's like a mechanic, you know, coming home from work. He always goes into the restroom, he cleans his hands, and there's a great scene earlier in the movie with him cleaning his hands and stuff, and I'm not going to spoil that part because I think it's great. Although, again, you've probably already seen the movie. But he's looking at himself in the mirror. There's a lot of looking at himself in the mirror in this movie. And, you know, the mirror, of course, is a great, you know, device to use to show reflection, right? Confliction, you know what I mean? Like, you know, when you're conflicted, right? You know, I mean, it's a great device to use for that, for a character in a movie. And so, but this time he looks in the mirror, and instead of being in pain, I'm sure, or instead of being confused or frustrated or irritated or just like, you know, he feeling like he's stuck in a rock and a hard place, he sees the reflection of the girl behind him. And you could just tell that he's at peace. And he turns around, puts his arm around this girl's shoulder, and he walks into the living room, and we don't see, and then the movie just ends right there. Absolutely amazing ending, right? We don't know what the hell happened. God only knows what happened after that, because he definitely, not only is he risking his life, he's really risking the life of his daughters. He has a bunch of, I think all he has is daughters. So, you know, you could put the puzzle pieces together. If you are acting in a way, if you are interfering with the church or anything like that, you know, there can be some repercussion, i.e. having one of his daughters, or two of them or three of them, be taken to the Magdalene laundries, you know, just to spite him, you know, just for, because they're from a family that are not following the norm, you know, because of Cillian Murphy's actions in the movie. Very, very sad, but we don't see any of that, which is perfect. I love how it just ends there. And so throughout this kind of third act, this final sequence of the film, you know, him seeing this girl, going back to his house, the mirror, the cleaning, and then the ending, I notice my girlfriend is like kind of crying a little bit, you know. She's I could hear it. And here's the thing about my girlfriend, is that she's a person that does not like to cry just when you're with her, like in real life, you know, like she'll cry in a movie, you know, but she is much less likely to cry in real life, unless, you know, you really hurt her, which has happened. But you know, that's life, right? And she's made me cry, you know, that is a thing. I'm a crier, for sure. I can cry in real life more often than her, funny enough. In a movie, though, interestingly enough, I've become less susceptible to crying in movies. Like earlier in our relationship, the first 1-2 years, like I think it was crying easy. But then again, I don't know. Maybe it depends on the movie. But I feel like it is happening. I'm crying less in movies, and I don't know if it's just like me becoming more pessimistic. I mean, I've been pessimistic all my life pretty much, but I don't know. Anyways, she's amazing, beautiful, right? She's sensitive to art, as people should be. But, and I guess this is where I'm getting at, is I love art. She loves art. I love film. I love music. She loves film. She loves music. She's a dancer. I love dance. Art is like our life. That's our religion between her and I, right? That's our God. You know, that's our Sunday. That's our Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day. You know, that is what we use. That is really what's keeping us going, you know, because I'm in my going on to my late 20s now, and I am just mentally not in the best place, really. Haven't been in a long time. Confused, disappointed, disillusioned, frustrated, underwhelmed, overwhelmed. I mean, just every possible emotion ever. Happiness is fleeting, all of that. And I don't want to say too much for her, but I mean, let's just say that, she and I can relate to a certain extent, right? And but film, movies, music, art, dance, whatever, is the thing that gives us hope, because we can relate to it. It is a reflection of our human experience, even, in all kinds of movies, optimistic movies, pessimistic movies, whatever. Like, we see ourselves in it, and it's catharsis for us. Being in this context where she and I, in the real world, are pissed at each other, are irritated, and are having, I guess you could, for the sake of the drama of the story, a borderline relationship ending argument here, at least in my head. And she's a much less of a doomer when it comes to relationships. She's much more like, we can pretty much work 99.9% of everything. Cheating is like the thing that, like, probably, we can never come back from. But, like, other than that, everything kind of goes, right? But in this context, we are putting ourselves in front of something so beautiful, which is this movie. We're in a theater, right? And I am witnessing her be vulnerable, crying, showing expression, to this film. And that changes me there. It changes me, and it motivated me even further to move all of my shit aside and to just say, it's okay, and I'm sorry. Now, we've all made up with our partners, like, that's a thing, look, like, we all do it, it's fantastic if you do it, like, it's feels great when you do it, but, to a certain extent, I am very much aware of the cycle of getting angry, making up, getting angry, making up. I'm very irritated by that cycle. It kind of annoys me, feels like I'm a hypocrite, but I literally do. It's something that we do as humans. It's just inevitable, right? We do that with literally ourselves, because if we didn't do it with ourselves, we'd probably off ourselves, like, 20 years into existence. And so it's just a fact of, this is what we do. That is life's narrative, right? That is life's script and movie. And that is how it goes. And so, when it happens, I've learned that you just kind of have to embrace it, and it was happening right there, right? But it was motivated and it was influenced by something beautiful, like small things like these. And it was especially special because I liked the movie, but she felt so compelled and so moved that she wanted to cry. She cried. She wasn't bawling, but I mean, she definitely cried. And I was so moved by that. And it made me love her even more. It made me fall in love with her all over again. And that's happened many times. That's the key to any good relationship, any long-lasting relationship, is you come across times where you fall in love with that person all over again. And that's what happened. That place, the theater, is our church. And we had something happen there between her and I, thanks to this film. And that is something that I will never forget, and it made me grow closer to her. And that's what we say about all the sad moments in life, right? Is that oftentimes, if you can get through it, you come out stronger. You come out even more bonded. And so now, whenever we have a relationship, possibly relationship-ending argument, that moment with her will come into play and will be factored into my mind, just like all the other moments that came before. But this was an incredibly special moment, and one that I think is very high up on the list, if not the highest. But it really humbled me because, like I said, I wasn't crying. I was moved by the movie. I love the film. And I think she's a little bit more sensitive to art than I am, which I envy in all the good ways. She's much more of a purist with art. I have much more of an ego and a little bit involved with art. I mix myself into art sometimes a little bit too much. She's able to kind of like, she's really, she really absorbs herself into the art. And now, I mean, she inserts herself in her way many times as well, but it's in a different way than me. You know what I mean? I think it's in a less, overtly egotistical way. It's kind of like a very idealist, purist way, I think. I don't know. It's very interesting, but I envy a lot of it. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing because I love art. And so does she. And that is one of the main things that is holding us together. And I just wanted to share my love for small things like these and my love for her. And share one of the best moments in my life. And, it's not this overtly amazing, this isn't like an incredibly, epic thing or whatever. It's just a simple moment, but those are sometimes the best ones. I guess small things like that can be really meaningful, right? Can last forever. But anyways, those are my thoughts. I wanted to share that with all of you. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Is there something similar in your life that you would want to let me know about? Maybe, something similar happened. Let me know in the comment section below. Or criticize whatever I had to say. I don't know, whatever you had to criticize, but go ahead. Just tell me what you want to tell me. Sound off in the comment section below. Give this video a like if you like. Dislike it if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content and you want to see more stuff like this. But I think that's it for me. You all take care, stay safe, and until next time, I love you. Oh, and if it's your birthday, happy birthday to you, you beautiful creature.